Yes, fight fans, good evening. I am Jay Murphy, Jay's Fight Talk, Sam and Jay Talk MMA, the No Punches Pulled host, and my co-host, Sam Walker, joins me. How are we, brother?
Mate, absolutely buzzing. Another weekend of huge fights is upon us. Even better this weekend because we've got top MMA and top boxing on at prime time here in the UK. Last week was a bit of a struggle, to say the least. But look, we've got UFC Qatar that we're going to dissect here and then straight into the ring four. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a late night. We'll probably finish up at 1:30, 2 o'clock, but that's not even main card time.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're normally trying to get up at that time as we were last week. So the fact that it starts I think it starts at 6 p.m. I think the main card starts at 6 p.m. But obviously the UFC will be. I got up this morning at quarter to 6, and they'd already weighed in for UFC Qatar. I was looking at the results. So look, we'll dive straight in. We're not going to do the whole prelim card, but I'm just going to focus on a couple of fights that have British interest. For anybody that doesn't know, Paddy Pimblett, the gym that Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann have made sort of famous, or sort of mainstream, sorry. The next generation gym is notorious throughout the UK and Europe for bringing through great fighters, but they sort of put them in the spotlight mainstream.
Yeah.
Two of their fighters, one's making his UFC debut. My guy, my friend, I've been following this kid for a while. His story's mad. He had to go on the run for something he didn't do. Took up MMA in I think it was Thailand or Malaysia. It was Thailand. He literally spent 10 years on the run, learning how to fight. He's a BJJ master, but has hands as well. Shamrock. He's got a massive brand. He's a character. He's charismatic. He's fantastic on the mic. But the kid's not just a brand. He's very similar to Paddy Pimblett. A lot of people thought the hair, the dancing, the messing about. Shem's not. He's a bit more reserved than that. But he's a gobshite. He'll tell him how it is, and he riles his opponents. But the kid can fight. He's come over from Octagon.
Yeah.
Which is a massive promotion in itself. Probably earned more money there. Football stadium shows across Europe. But people have been crying out for him to be in the UFC, and it's the end goal for a lot of MMA fighters. And I know that sounds like I'm poo-pooing the other organizations, but ultimately they are the creme de la creme, So what do you think about Shem? And I mean, talk about baptism of fire. He's fighting Narelo Aliev, who fights out of Ilia Toporia's gym. His record is 10-0. He's an absolute monster. What's your take on this matchup?
Yeah, well, to be fair, you've been banging the Shamrock drum for a long, long time now. I know you've interacted with him a lot, so you kind of actually put me onto him maybe about a year ago. Obviously, went and watched the Octagon fights and stuff like that. But I was actually just looking while you were talking then about he's going to be on at about 3:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, which is absolutely crazy.
Mad.
It's actually a good card from top to bottom.
It's brilliant.
I said to you, didn't I, last week? I think it was on last week's show that the UFC have just got this. And I think Paddy might be the only exception because I think Paddy was actually matched quite nicely on his way up. But anybody else, the amount of...
To just throw him in.
Yeah, the amount of fighters you see with this hype, the UFC are just like, okay, then let's see what you got. Bo Nickal's a good example of it. He was throwing
Patchy Mix.
The Ridder, Patchy Mix. You could list off 15 fighters that have
They're
been...
not easing them in anymore. I'm not saying they eased people in, but what I mean is when somebody had momentum and a brand, they don't want to stifle that and pull that fire out initially. But now they're like saying, well, if you are as good as everyone says you are, prove it straight off the bat.
Exactly. He's up against it, mate, I think. There's no doubt about that. He'll go in as an underdog.
He is an underdog. I think he's a 2-1 against. So slight underdog.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I want to see how he looks. I mean, I can't really... I don't know enough about his opponent. Obviously, you say he's in the Topuria gym, but... All the noises that he's up against it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because, like you said, he talks a talk, but you can tell he carries himself with this level of confidence. And I've watched the Fight Disciple shows and all the rest of it. So look, sleeper probably for fight of the night, I reckon, because Shem's going to give it his all. And Aliev, we know he's 10-0. He's going to go in as a big favourite. He's out of that camp that can't seem to lose a fight, even if they try to at the minute. the Topuria camp. I know his brother's on the card as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
Alexander. So yeah, good luck to Shem. Obviously, Luke Riley as well, headlining.
I was just going to say, yeah, that Luke Riley's got Bogdan Grad, which is a tough fight again.
Yeah.
But I knew who Luke Riley was, but my son got us tickets to Cage Warriors in Manchester and I just want to say I've been to hundreds of boxing shows, loads of MMA events. It's probably the best atmosphere for an MMA event I've ever been. I ended up sat in between Paddy and Molly just by pure chance. And it was headlined by Christian Leroy Duncan defending his Cage Warriors title. It was his fight to get him to the UFC.
Yeah.
And this young kid, they said he was a Scouser, but he's not. I think he's from Widnes or Wigan, one of the two. I think it's Widnes. Came swaggering out, long hair. And I thought, who's this kid? And wow, he can crack, can fight, can crack. So, next gen again, I've got this next gen, and no pun intended, of new fighters, new blood coming through, because obviously Molly McCann's gone out of the UFC.
He's fighting next week on the Matchroom card, Ben Whitaker.
Yeah, she's seriously giving it a go in boxing. Paddy's sort of out there on his own as the man, the myth, the legend that is Paddy Pimblett, and I think we will see a fight announced soon. I think it was a bit hostile between him and Ilya today.
I think
to be fair, Paddy was fairly cordial, but he got called a pussy.
We'll get into the main event later, but I think Paddy's fate could well lie in the hands of Arman Sarukian and Dan.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we'll get on to that. Just to make people aware, if they're not, Sergey Spivak and Gaziev fight's off. That fight's been called off. So the curtain jerker now is Tagir Ulanbekov versus Horiguchi. Aoki Horiguchi.
Yeah, former Bellator bantamweight champion, I believe. He's fighting down at flyweight now.
Yeah.
Waldo Cortez Acosta stepping in then for
Spivak, yeah.
On 2 days' notice.
Tough. He's literally just fought, has he not?
Just had a big win
about a month ago.
Yeah, controversial because the fight was stopped due to an eye poke. Then he came back in and flattened him in 10 seconds. Yeah, so fair play. It's those fights should be interesting. Jack Hermansson dropping down to welterweight. Then
surprise for me that.
Yeah,
he's a big dude.
I thought he was a big
big dude.
185, but.
I mean, what's it going to take for him to get down to 170? I mean, his career seems to have gone downhill pretty quick. Jack Hermansson was top 5, certainly top 10.
Yeah. Just looking at his opponent's face, do you remember that fight he had? Olabai.
Yes. Both eyes closed.
Oh, mate, it was incredible. That was on one of the Saudi cards.
It was a daytime card, that.
It was incredible.
Yeah, can fight.
Big time.
He was in trouble in that fight, but came through, like I say, 2 black eyes, busted nose, busted face. Jack's up against it, mate, because this kid's a big welterweight, so it probably works. It probably evens itself out because he's a big welterweight. Is his opponent? I'm interested to see, because a lot of times when they change weight divisions, other than when they go down, certainly when they go down, it never really works. I mean, Jose Aldo did okay when he dropped down to bantamweight. Never hit the heights of that. You know what pisses me off about the new generation of fan, and I'm going to show my age here, is they remember Aldo from getting flatlined by Conor.
Yeah. Oh, he was amazing before that. Evening, Antonio. What's up?
Antonio, one of the greatest featherweight champions in UFC and WEC history.
Wow.
Unbeaten for 10 years. Go back and watch what he did to Uriah Faber's legs. I'm surprised Uriah can still walk to this day, mate, because Jose Aldo in his day. But what I'm getting at is they go down because they know they can't go up. Jack Hermansson's not doing much at light heavyweight. He's not big enough. He's gone down. What's it going to take out of him? And he's up against a fucking animal.
Yeah.
In his debut. Volkan Ozdemir is fighting Alonzo Menefield.
Yeah.
That is not going 3 rounds.
Yeah, no, that's
now I've said that.
Yeah, it's going to be a stinker now. Hold on, mate. No, Volkan never really in a bad fight, to be fair. Remember him knocking out Johnny Walker cold fairly recently. Menefield, as you like to say, mate, I think he's flattered to deceive. He shows a lot of promise.
Looks the part.
Yeah, he knocked Paul Craig's spark out. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I thought he was going to kick on, but he's kind of gone win-loss, 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 I think. So I fancy Oezdemir maybe to get the job. I think he's a bit more refined. He looked decent in
his last fight, did Oezdemir. It looked okay.
Yeah, so who knocked him out recently? I can't remember, but he was stopped. Was it he fought Allberg recently, didn't he? Carlos
Allberg, yeah.
But he lost on decision to Allberg, but I'm sure somebody knocked him out fairly recently.
Let's have a look.
Yuri Prohaska stopped him, didn't he, in his UFC debut brutally? I remember that.
Let's have a look. Do you remember when DC battered him?
DC, yeah.
Let's have a look, see if I can find it here. Yuri Prohaska.
Allberg beat him recently last
Johnny
year.
Walker. Nikita Krylov,
yeah.
Alexander Rakic. Can't remember, but
yeah, he's fought a who's who really, Oezdemir, hasn't he? He's been around for a while. I'd like him to win that fight personally. I think he wins it, should I say?
As you said, Menefield is win one, lose one, win one, lose one. He never puts momentum together, and Oezdemir, was touted as the next in line for being a champion at one stage. He just happened to come up against one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, in my opinion, in Daniel Cormier. I think if John Jones was never around, then we'd be talking about DC in a greater capacity than what we do. I think he's underrated for what he's actually done, and he's the double champ as well. So yeah, I think I'm favouring Oezdemir to win that fight. Co-main event, which could be a headline fight in itself, sees former welterweight champion Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad, against Ian Machado Garry, who, did you see him sparring with Conor McGregor yesterday?
I saw it's an old clip though, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I thought it was in Qatar.
No, it's an old clip. Yeah. But I did see the video that you're referring to.
I've never seen that before, you see, so I thought, oh yeah, it fits because Conor might be in the Middle East. Do you guys think? Do you know what? He's
playing a character, isn't he?
He plays a character, and when you see him, sort of, it sounds stupid, but off camera, but more fly on the wall. He's
smart. He's intelligent.
A bit like Darren Till. He's clever. He speaks Portuguese. I mean, his missus is half Portuguese or whatever she is. But he lives this sort of, he travels a lot, and, they live out of suitcases, and he's very cultured, and, I think he's an interesting dude, and he's done exactly what he's supposed to do. He's created a brand, a character. He makes people talk. He gets people riled. They want to watch him for either getting beat or winning. And ultimately, right, he's only lost to the bogeyman, right, in a very, very, very.
He made Shavkat look human as well.
Absolutely. He took rounds off Shavkat and was in some awkward positions, and is known as a stand-up fighter, but his ground game's very good. I mean, he trains with the Charles Oliveira team, doesn't he? So, he's got
Shooter box, is it?
Shooter box, yeah. So, I think he's MMA is underrated. I think he's seen as just a kickboxer, and I think he's very underrated as an all-round MMA fighter. What you saying there, Antonio? I can't stand Bilal, but Bilal being a...
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment from Antonio, to be fair. I think Bilal in any fight, really, plus 210, it is wild, but I can see a path to victory for Bilal, but, judging off the Jack Della Maddalena performance, he's got to up his game, because for me, Gary's more refined on the feet than JDM. And he's a smart fighter, Ian Gary. The narrative I've been reading from everyone all week that Ian Gary's going to knock him out. Ian Gary isn't knocking anybody out at the moment. Like,
he's not a knockout puncher.
He hasn't knocked anyone out, I don't think, since he beat
Cage Warriors.
D-Rod. Head kick not so long. Well, probably a couple of years back.
2 years ago. Yeah.
His decision, like MVP decision, the Shavkat fight, fair enough, thing goes.
Fight safe, very Wonder Boy-esque.
Decision.
Point fighter.
Yeah, he kind of is a point fighter. Look, I've no doubt if he sits down a little bit. I favour Gary to do it on. Is it a 3 or a 5 rounder? Do we know?
It'll be a 3. I'm pretty sure.
I like to do these top of the division co-mains as 5, but either way, I still think Ian Gary will outpoint Bilal. I think he's got more paths to victory in this fight.
Let's have a look. 5 rounds. I agree. Ian Gary did not want their fight to be 5 rounds.
There you go then. I thought it was 3 anyway. It doesn't say 5 round.
No, it's 3. It's 3. Bilal said he wanted 5. Ian Gary only wanted 3. Look, there's 2 things that'll happen in this fight for me. Either Bilal will get hold of him and he'll never let go of him, and he's just going to wrestle him and do like he did to... was it Leon he did that to?
Yeah.
Bilal did that to Leon. He did, didn't he?
Win the belt.
Over here to win the belt. Or Gary's going to fight on the back foot, keep his lead leg just inside the black line and keep his back off the cage, and it'll just be frustrating. It'll probably not be very exciting to watch because Bilal's not the most exciting fighters to watch anyway, no disrespect. And as we said, Ian Gary's not a concussive knockout puncher. He will tap, score, move. So I'm favouring Gary. I think he'll win a UD. I think we'll get a unanimous decision victory. Mate. What's
let's minus 110?
I don't understand the bloody American odds. What does that mean?
So it's, evens 10 to 11 sort of to win on points, which for me sounds about right.
Yeah, I agree. Antonio, I won't say he was seconds from getting knocked out. He looked in trouble, but...
He was in trouble in the last round. I think it was the last round. Anyway,
he just gassed. He emptied his tank, didn't he? But ultimately, he got the win. I'm leaning towards him. I think Bilal's doing what a lot of champions do. They just never get it back. I don't think he'll fall off as bad as Leon Edwards. But I think
Bilal's not a young guy, though. He must be 35, 36.
Took him long enough to get his shot, didn't it?
Exactly.
It took him long enough, like Leon.
There's some killers in that 170 division now.
Last week for me
you look at
was
Morales,
a showcase for welterweight.
That's to come back in the mix. You look at Leon Edwards. He was on top of the world a year and a bit ago. Now he's on the verge of dropping out the top 10.
Dropping out of the organisation. Because he's not... He don't carry much favour with them. I don't think they like him. Right. Main event time. Arman headbutt Sarukian. Did you see that? What the fuck's that about?
That's bizarre, to be honest. Bizarre.
Because he's not normally like that. He's not. But I know Dan Hooker's been prodding him, hasn't he, about him being rich and got money and he's not a killer. And so Arman stuck it on him. But was Arman Sarukian, the perennial number 1 contender, against, proverbial journeyman, do I want to say, Dan Hooker, but I say that with tongue-in-cheek because he's anything but. If you are not on it, Dan Hooker will smoke your boots, let me tell you, because he's been in some of the doggiest of dog fights I've ever seen. That Poirier fight is a fight.
Rounds
over and over again.
Poirier fight's one of the best rounds.
I could feel the shots.
It was incredible.
And he's got a great brand. He seems a nice guy. He stayed out in lockdown. Do you remember? He didn't go home. Stayed out. And for me, I've got a funny feeling that this fight is not going to be as straightforward as it should be or could be. Because on paper, Arman Sarukian should just be able to do enough to edge Hooker, as long as he don't get stopped and hurt. Skill for skill, he is better than Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker has an awkward punching style. He throws from an unconventional position, and he can crack. Dan Hooker can crack. So I think this is an interesting fight. I mean, what's your take on the main event, mate?
Yeah, I've just seen what Antonio said, to be fair. Look, I do see the potential in that. I just don't think Arman's that strong of a finisher. I know he finished... Beneil Dariush, but look what BSD did to him last week.
Yeah,
in 16 seconds or whatever it is. So look, I watched this fight against Gamrot when Gamrot first comes to the UFC. I'm talking about Arman, and actually Dan Hooker's got a win in one of his most recent fights against Gamrot.
Yeah,
out the cage for over 12 months. Obviously, Arman was due to fight Islam in a rematch. Then he injured himself during fight week.
Yeah,
Hooker's been out for a while as well. So I think it's an interesting fight. I mean, I think all the advantages lay with Arman, especially the pace that he sets.
Yeah.
But like you say, you just can't rule out Dan Hooker, man. He's a dog in there. But look, the way I see it is Arman's pace being a little bit too much, and he kind of wins over the distance. That's how I see it.
And I'm very similar. The only thing I did notice when they squared off is Dan Hooker is way bigger than him.
Outrageous, yeah.
And if he can
5'7" versus 6 foot,
and if he can get into a rhythm, you know, bearing in mind he spars with the likes of Izzy, so he's got that fast twitch. His head movement's pretty good, but Dan Hooker likes to stand and trade, and I think that will be his undoing because Arman will start trading and then drop and get a hip, and once he's got a hip, Dan's going to struggle to be able to defensively wrestle him because Arman's wrestling is really good. And I mean, is ring rust going to affect Arman? I mean, it could.
Well, look, it could affect both of them because they've both been out for a while.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of them might have it, one of them might not. So, look, they're all variables that we have to consider. But I think Arman deserves to be favourite in this.
So, my next question then is, if Arman comes through Saturday night and wins the fight, is his next fight the world title fight? Basically, are they going to shit him and give it to Paddy Pimblett, which is the better fight in terms of revenue and eyes on the sport and fans, etc. And the fans are calling for that fight, or are they going to do what's right and give him his shot that he's already earned once and, you know, lost on injury?
Yeah, I agree because he hasn't lost a fight since he was due to fight Islam. He got injured, and this is his return fight. He weighed in, I think, for the Topuria Oliveira fight, his backup fighter. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but it's, you know, we've seen it a million times before, haven't we? It's not just in the UFC, it happens in other combat sports as well.
Yeah.
Money talks, man. Like, if I'm the UFC, look, in the spirit of being fair, if Arman beats Dan Hooker, for me, he should be getting a title shot. But if I'm the UFC brass, you're going, we got this brand new $7.7 billion deal with Paramount Plus or whatever it is that starts.
Get Paddy on.
A lot of the champions haven't fought. It's an open goal. Ilya and Paddy have had this long run, and they respect each other, you can tell anyway.
Yeah.
They've had this long going beef or whatever you want to call it for ages. It would be, look, if Paddy fights, say, Gaethje won't fight him because he said it's the title shot or he's retiring or whatever, but just say, for example, if it's Paddy Gaethje, Paddy could lose that fight. Charles Oliveira, Paddy could lose that fight. So, you know, you won't get that Topuria fight again. If you're talking in terms of fan interest, engagement, revenue, all of this, then Paddy's the guy that should be getting the title shot if you're looking at it from a business perspective. But if you're looking at it from who deserves it and who's fair, then if Arman Tsarukyan does a number on Dan Hooker, then it's Arman that deserves the fight. So the UFC might have a decision to make. Come, I'll say Sunday morning. Obviously, not going to decide it
Saturday night.
But you know, they're going to have a decision to make when they're going to announce their schedule for Paramount that will be coming soon within the next 2-3 weeks, I'd imagine. Announce the January 24th, I think, is going to be the kickoff pay-per-view. It's going to be in Vegas. I don't know, you know, the heavyweight belt, Tom and Cyril. You know, maybe you could put that on. Obviously, Pereira's just beat Ankalaev. You know, I don't know, but I favour Topuria being the headliner in that. It just really depends who it's against. Do you go in the fairness for Arman, or do you go for the revenue? If I'm
They're going to go for revenue. They'd have to go for revenue for me, I think. Just to answer that, I've stood next to him. I'm 5'11". I think that's the first time I've ever admitted that and not tried to say I'm 6 foot, but I'm 5'11", and he wasn't taller than me. So yeah, I think he probably is around 5'10".
Taller than Ilya. Ilya's about 5'6", isn't he?
In Cuban heels, he's 5'6". Jesus Christ. Stood on stilts maybe, but look, yeah, do you know what? I've got a feeling that Paddy could actually beat Ilya just by styles making fights. I think there's a chance that Ilya's going to look to knock his head off. Paddy's going to get hold of him, and it could be something like a standing rear naked or something like that. None of these Scousers don't get knocked out. Masvidal put paid to that. Scousers do get knocked out, and Molly McCann's been knocked out. No disrespect, Meatball, but you know, he can't stand and trade with Ilya because he's knocked out Max Holloway, Volkanovski, people that you don't see get flatlined. I know Islam.
Charles Oliveira, one punch.
Charles Oliveira, he is probably one of the hardest hitting pound for pound fighters in the UFC, maybe in MMA. But I have this styles make fights thing. I just think that Paddy's style is that awkward that he could, at the very least, run Ilya very close. But on the flip side of that, he does exit with his chin up in the air. It could be over fairly quickly. But that's what I mean. I am more intrigued to see that fight, because if Arman beats Ilya, oh God, the UFC have been mortified, because Arman ain't selling many pay-per-views. As good as his fight skills are, he's got the personality of, Ben Shalom. It's not the greatest, is it?
Yeah.
What's this one here? Just before I started watching UFC kind of late, like 2020, but was Darren Till actually good? Yeah. When he came through, the thing with MMA, because you've only watched it since 2020, it evolves constantly. That's why champions lose and never get the belt back, because the game's evolving. So kids that came through that were boxers and had a single discipline and then learned MMA, that's not the case anymore. My daughter, for example, is 13. She can grapple, she can wrestle, she can box, she can kickbox. They're training MMA now. So the skill set's getting... If you put Poatan in with Randy Couture, when they were at the odds on, Poatan had beat the dog shit out of Randy Couture, and that's no disrespect. The skill set's just different. Tito Ortiz, he's not winning a strap if he was around now, because the skill set's just better. Obviously, you've got the likes of Royce Gracie, who jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu, but you find that a lot of the jiu-jitsu players now have to learn how to box and have to learn how to fight. So, look, Darren Till, when he came through, had a great fight with Nicholas Dolby. I think that was a draw, wasn't it? Was it Nicholas Dolby that he drew with?
Yeah, he fought Dolby, didn't he? I can't remember what the result was.
Didn't they fight to a draw? But no, Darren Till was very good. Kickboxing style, decent, strong. Just fought in the wrong divisions. He should have been a middleweight all along, I think, for me. He shouldn't have been boiling down. And took a heavy knockout loss and was never the same when Masvidal did that to him. That was a bad loss. But no, he was very good. So, I'm really excited for tomorrow night, and I know you are, mate. It's going to be.
It's going to be good, mate. It's going to be a good. I was going to say night of fights. It's a good day of fights. You've got basically 12 hours worth of fight action in a row from about 3 p.m. till 2 a.m. or whatever it is in the UK time. So buzzing for it, mate.
Have you got anything further to add before we wrap up tonight's show?
Nothing further, my man. Just looking forward to watching the fights all weekend. If anyone's around, we'll do the Eubank watch along on SWFightHub.
Absolutely. Get yourself over there at 10 o'clock.
A bit later. Pleasure to join you as always, my friend. Make sure everybody subs up to my man JFT, Jay's Fight
Thank
Tour.
You, man. We're not allowed. We'll be doing watch-alongs. Did you guys?
We'll be there probably for the co-main and main event tomorrow. I would say
to be fair, we got up for the pay-per-view last week. Sam was ill. I just rolled over on the soon as I knew he was ill, I was out. So we were going to do it, and we'll be doing tomorrow's. So come and join us, Tony. Man, it'd be great to have you joining us.
Tony, thanks for joining us, man.
So thanks for taking part, Sam. I appreciate you as always.
Pleasure, mate.
I will see you in a couple of hours. Anybody that hasn't, SWFightHub's YouTube channel, SWFightHub over on X. Get followed, get subbed up. Jay's Fight Talk on all socials. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.